Hello, crafters! Welcome to Sasha Cake Creations. This is my very first tutorial as a brand ambassador for Graphic 45, and we are gonna make the desk organizer with the beautiful Elegance collection. I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently for this, and I am very excited to share this with you. So let's go over the materials. First of all, you're gonna need a craft mat, and then you're gonna need a paper trimmer. I am using two, the precision rotary cutter from Scor and the paper trimmer from Tim Holtz. Then you're gonna need a metal ruler and a measuring ruler, a craft knife, a pencil with an eraser, and some score tape, some black ink, and an ink tool. Whoops. Some glue, and I am using bookbinder's glue. And then we're gonna use 7 sheets of chipboard. The chipboard I'm using is 1/8 of an inch thick. Can you use thinner chipboard? Yes, but you do have to regulate some of the measurements. And if it's thick enough to keep it sturdy so it doesn't collapse, then you should be fine. Moving on. We're also going to need 14 sheets of black 12x12 cardstock and of course the Elegance 12x12 collection. This collection comes with 2 sticker sheets. We aren't using any of the stickers for the desk organizer itself, but we are adding some in the notebook. And then we're going to use some of the chipboards. And for the drawer, I did want to use a Graphic 45 handle, but I didn't have one at the time, so I used these guys from Tim Holtz instead. You're also gonna need a cloth, a Bonefolder, a pick tool, and some washi tape just to hold it all together while it is drying. But all that's gonna be in the description below. So let's get started. We are gonna cut out all of our pieces for the desk organizer. And we are starting with the bottom. I've made this beautiful drawing for you. And I know that it probably doesn't make much sense right now, but it will, I promise. Imagine that you are standing over the desk organizer and looking down on it. Then this is what it's going to end up looking like from above. As you can see, I've given all of the pieces letters, so I know which one goes where. I have a different one for the drawer, but we're going to do that one later. Now, as you can see, on the right side, there is a Y. And that represents the bottom, and that is the piece we are going to cut now. And all of the measurements are going to be in the description below, but we are going to go through each and every one of them to make it as easy for you as possible. Now the first piece for the bottom here, we're going to cut down to 10 1/8, and we are calling that one Y. And I highly recommend that you write the letters on your pieces so you don't get them mixed up. I'm gonna cut all of my chipboard with my craft knife, so I'm just measuring 10 1/8 and making a line with my ruler, and then I am cutting against my metal ruler. And that was the first piece. Only 732 more to go. Yeah, I'm kidding, but we do have a lot. And remember to always save the scraps or the pieces you cut off. We are going to need them for some of the smaller pieces. Now we are going to cut the piece for the back, and that has to be 12 by 7 inches. And we're going to call it I. And all of the full sheets are 12 by 12, so we only need to cut it at 7 inches. And that was the eye piece, so you're going to write an I, like so. And like I said, this is going to be the back of our desk organizer. And now we are going to cut out the sides. And that is the 2 A pieces. So we're going to take a new sheet of chipboard. And first we're going to measure 10 1/8. And then we're just going to cut it all the way down. And then we need to cut the angle. So on one side, you're gonna measure 2 5/8 and make a small pencil mark right at the edge. And on the other side, you're gonna measure 7 1/8 and make another pencil mark. And then make a line from one mark to the other. Get your metal ruler and your craft knife and cut. And that was one A piece. Now we just need to copy it. So we're just gonna put it on top of the piece we have left. And when the edges line up, you can take your metal ruler and put it right next to the piece we already cut. Hold on to it so it doesn't go anywhere. And when the ruler is where you want it to be, then you're gonna hold on to that and remove the A piece we just cut, and then just cut the other one. And now we have two. And this way we made sure that they are exactly the same size. And this is what they're gonna look like with the other two pieces. So put an 8 on those. Then we're gonna make two B pieces, one for the other B piece, and then another one to split up for piece D and C. So grab another sheet of chipboard, measure 8 inches in and cut all the way down. And we have another scrap for later. And now I just want you to know that I did not have any measurements before I did this. I wrote down all the measurements after I figured them out. So when I had to do this, I took the A piece and put on top of the other one. And then I realized that the A piece would go outside of the whole box itself. So I needed the piece I am going to cut in, I needed it to be 1/8 of an inch higher than the A piece to get it the right size. Because you know the bottom of the box is gonna make it 1/8 higher. I don't think that this is the easiest way to do it, but I only had to do it this one time, so. But oh well. If you want to do it the easy and boring way, you're gonna make a mark 2.5 inches in on one side and 6 1/16 on the other side, and cut between your marks like we did before. And then we're gonna make a copy just like we did with the other one. Get the edges to line up and place your ruler, and then cut against your ruler. And that should give you two pieces that are the exact same size. And on one of them, we're going to write B. And the other one, we're going to split into piece C and D. And then we're going to measure from the high end 1 5/8 and make a mark. Then we're going to cut it like so. And that is our D piece. So we are going to write a D on it. And now we need to take off 1/8 of an inch, or the thickness of the chipboard, to make room for the piece that is going to go in between these two. So yeah, I'm just using another piece of chipboard to help me figure out where I need to cut. And this is going to be our C piece. Now we just need to cut off that excess. Like so. And there it is. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm trying to do the biggest pieces first. So now we're going to do the J piece. And that's an easy one. We just need to cut at 6 1/8. And write a J. Next, we're going to do the R piece, and that was not on the drawing I showed you. So we're going to measure 7 inches and cut. Then we're going to turn it and measure 8 inches and cut again. And write R on it. And this is where it's going to be. I drew on my bottom piece to have an idea of where all the pieces would go. And the R piece is the one that goes over the drawer like this. But yeah, I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's the plan. Then we're going to do the K piece. And you're going to cut that down to 5 5/16 by 4 7/8. You're going to cut the O piece down to 4¼ by 3¼ and write O. Then we're going to make the E piece. We need a 4-inch piece, and then we're going to borrow the B to get the angle. And we're just going to line up the edges at the short end. Both of them needs to be 2½ inches. So the E piece is going to be 2½ on the short side, 4 and 5/16 on the long side, and then 4 inches on the bottom. And that is the piece that goes here. So write an E on that. And then we're going to make the 3 P pieces. And they should measure 3 3/8 by 1½. And as I said, you're going to need 3 of those. And when you've cut one, you can just use that to measure the other 2. Write a P on all 3, like so. Then we're going to do the Q, and you're going to cut that down to 5 1/8 by 2 5/8. And write Q. Then cut the L piece. It should measure 7 by 2 3/4 and write an L. Cut the M piece to 7 by 2 and write M. And the N piece should measure 7 by 1 3/8. And we're just gonna borrow the C piece to get the right angle for piece F, G, and H. And we want the H piece to start at 0. So your line should start in the corner. And I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, you're going to need a piece that is at least 6 1/4 by 2 3/4. And when you have cut off a little less than half of that piece, you're going to start with at the pointy end. And we're going to make piece H. And we need to cut that at 3 inches at the bottom. Then we're going to take the rest of the piece and cut off 1/8 of an inch from the short side. Then you're going to measure 1 3/8 from that side and cut again. And now you have your G piece. Again, cut off 1/8 of an inch from the short side on the piece you have left. Now cut 1 1/2 from that short side. And then you have piece F. And now I am just laying out all of my pieces to make sure that I got all of them, except for the drawer. And this looks about right. So let's make the last pieces for the drawer. And here is the drawing for that. And we already made the R piece. So now we're going to make the outside of the drawer, if you can call it that. We need to make 1 T piece and the 2 S pieces, and those are going to hold up the R and give us room enough to put in the drawer. The S pieces needs to be cut at 8 by 2 3/8. And the T piece needs to be cut at 6 1/4 by 2 3/8. Cut the U piece at 6 1/2 by 7 3/4. That is the bottom of our drawer. And the 2 W's needs to measure 7 3/4 by 2. The V needs to be cut at 6 1/4 by 2. And the very last piece is the X. That needs to be 7 by 2 5/8. That was all of them, guys. I hope to see you in part 2, where we will be wrapping all of our pieces and decorating them with the gorgeous papers from the Elegance collection. Now, thank you so much for watching, and happy crafting!